Thank you. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Zosia Wanat. I'm a correspondent at Sifted, which is this Financial Times-backed website on the European startups and venture capital. And this is my great pleasure to welcome on stage today Hanne Jarmer. Hanne is the CEO and co-founder of Dogo, which is a company that develops a pet tech solution aimed at keeping dogs mentally healthy, confident, and happy. Do we have any dog lovers in the room? Yes, yes. Okay. You have your audience there. Thank you so much for being here with us, Hanne. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Lovely. So before before Hanne founded Dogo in 2018, she spent nearly 2 decades in the academia focusing on molecular microbiology and bioinformatics, and you're going to tell us all about this in a second, at the Technical University of Denmark. So obviously today we will talk a little bit about this transition from the academia to the startup world, which I think is pretty relevant to many deep tech founders in Europe. And we will talk about how to, build a sustainable startup in this deep tech space, in particular in the pet tech space. I think it's very interesting. We might not be talking about this enough, so I'm very happy that we have all this time today to discuss it. So just to begin with, and so we're all on the same page, could you just tell us a little bit more about Dogo? What is it? How does it work? No judges there, so you can just be comfortable and you can tell us what it is.
Yeah, thank you. I would love to. You probably all know dogs who are super bad behaved, or maybe they are super scared and they're reactive. Maybe when you're out walking, they lunge at the dogs that pass by. And that is because they lack confidence. Many dogs get way too little mental stimulation. Of course, you mentally stimulate your dog when you train your dog, and that is super important, something you should always do. But there's one way of mental stimulation that many dogs does not get enough of, and that is the independent problem solving. So solving a task for something that you would like to have, that is important for all intelligent creatures. And of course, dog owners know that, and they already use different ways to solve this problem. They have low-tech puzzle toys where the dog has to manipulate. It's usually made out of plastic or wood, and the dog has to manipulate to find a treat, push or pull or lift something. And they are all super good, but the dogs, they find them either too easy or too difficult. And of course, if they're too easy, the dog doesn't get a lot of mental stimulation out of it. And if they're too, did I say difficult first? No, I said easy. If they're too difficult, the dog will just give up, because unlike the wolf, dogs are actually not super problem solvers. They are smarter than the wolf, because instead of keep trying to solve a problem, then they sit down and they look to mom or dad to please solve the problem. So they tap into our brain and thumbs. But nevertheless, then they get less mental stimulation. So we needed some brain twisters for dogs that were touch-free. Both because of this, that could also progress, but also because if they're physical, the dog would chew them up and swallow small parts, and of course they will also destroy the toy. So what we have built now, and that is going to save the mental health of so many dogs in the world, and there are lots, it's this, and I know you'll probably not believe me, but this is very much like a PlayStation with treats. So we connect this to the home TV, and we have a front camera, and we actually also have a small side camera. And then we use computer vision to see what the dog is doing in front of the TV. And in this way, we can use the TV to teach the dog what to do, or at least give it some clues. And then he has to figure out how to get the treats to come out. Because inside, of course, the secret for this is, of course, treats. No one works for free. So yummy treats fall out of this when the dog is doing what we want it to do. And what it is doing is totally not relevant, actually. Because what is relevant is that the dog finds out how to get the treats. One of the challenges that I hope we will also talk a little about is that people misunderstand the product when they see it first time. They think, oh, I will buy this if I need to teach my dog to sit or lie down or to stand, and that's not the product. But I understand why it looks like it, because we've been limited to the natural positions that a dog will do. A dog will sit, a dog will lie down and stand, and that's because our computer vision, of course, can only be taught to understand what a dog is doing if we have data that shows this, and if the dog, of course, also can do it, otherwise we can't. So it looks like training, but it is actually enrichment. Yeah, I guess there's probably more time to talk about
perfect. No, that was a really nice
No, I have to add one more thing, because this is, of course, a platform, and the dog will earn treats and use his brain for getting the treats, but because we have this, we can build more. So the latest thing that we have implemented in our product is actually a sound training protocol, and we have developed this together with some amazing scientists at the University of Copenhagen and a lot of international dog behavior experts. And in the beginning, we thought this would be super easy. For example, dogs afraid of fireworks. Yeah, we play fireworks and we give a treat enough times and then the dog is not afraid. But it's not that simple. So it's actually now 8 levels just for the fireworks. Starting with almost 0 image on the TV and absolutely 0 sound for those dogs that are very, very scared. And then it gradually builds. And the cool part, because of course you could do this manually and for free, because of course we charge. But the cool part is that it's incredibly patient. We humans, we have the tendency to push too fast, and then the training actually backtracks. And also, it's totally gamified. First, the dog learns to use this. I'm sorry, this is all about the product. First, the dog learns to use it, and then the dog learns that if it sits, the sound comes on. So in this way, the dog is actually asking for the sound to be turned on, and then it gets a treat, of course, every time the sound has been played. And then we can increase the sound very, very slowly and also introduce the different sound types in different levels. The last level is, of course, called surprise, and surprise, surprise. Here the dog is not turning it on himself. The owner is putting in a time in our app. And then, of course, fireworks will just start on the TV at a random time. But at this point, the dog already has learned to love the sound, so he will rush to the TV and sit down and get his treat, and then a couple of the normal games. So, and we have actually tested this, and it totally works.
Perfect. That was a great pitch.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And no, that's, the stage is yours. Can you tell us also a little bit more about the business as such? Like, who do you sell for? What are your markets? Like, do you sell internationally?
Yes.
What's the strategy here?
Yeah, of course, I think we all listened to advice in the beginning, and we also did that. So we started selling just locally. But we very fast found out, well, not very fast, I think 2 years ago, we found out that this is super weird, and people people really think it's interesting. So we got a lot of viral videos. I think I have totally lost count, but we have at least 30, but maybe closer to 40 videos on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook that got millions of views. And therefore also 80% of our organic traffic to our homepage, they are the US. So we just decided to start selling because we can still do customer service, between Denmark and US, because in Denmark, the customer service is a Zoom call with me, and it doesn't matter if it's 200 or maybe just 50 kilometers away, or if it's in the US. So it's not a problem. So we sell UK, EU, US, and also Canada.
Okay, we'll get back to that in a second. But now, before I believe many people here, including me, we're wondering, how did you come up with this whole solution? I mean, you were at the university, you were a researcher before. Like, did you work on dogs' behavior, or was it something, like similar to dogs' behavior? How did it come to your mind that you could do software and have hardware for dogs?
Of course, it's a super long story.
A quick version.
Yeah, the quick one, if I can. I was standing one morning. Usually, I had these 2 young dogs. And if I did not provide enough mental stimulation, then they would provide the mental stimulation by themselves. So they would read books or, And then, therefore, I always had to scatter treats around in the living room or give them some kind of, brain twister.
Yeah.
But those treats, they were found before I even left. I mean, I couldn't even make it down the stairs, then they were already finished. So it wasn't enough. And also the existing toys, they were, as I said before, either too easy or too difficult. And I knew that they would chew them up, so that was simply not a safe solution. And then I was literally, standing one morning, about to leave with my 2 idiots in front of me, and I was just turning, and then the TV was hanging on the wall behind me, and then it just hit me. Why can't I just appear on the TV and give some instructions? And then, because I'd already worked with neural nets, I knew that deep learning was super far. And remember, this is like 7 years ago when I got the idea. But especially within image analysis, I knew that they could really do magic. So I was pretty sure that it technically was possible. But I simply got the idea in that situation. And then, of course, I didn't just build it. First I had to find out, is this just a stupid idea, or will the dogs actually, do they want to work with it like that? So the first thing I did was I just videoed myself on the phone, and then I showed my dogs a treat, and I showed them the video, and then if they did the trick, I gave them the treat. And then that worked. And then I gave my phone to one of my 4 kids, I think it was Vigo, and then I left the room, and then he did the same thing, and it still worked. And then I thought, okay, let's try this more thoroughly. So I bought a treat dispenser, like one of those pet cams that you may know. And then I projected, I took some videos, and I put myself on the TV using Apple TV, so I could do it outside the room. And then I put up the GoPro. So I was standing in the kitchen with my iPad, projecting myself to the TV in the living room. And then I had my phone, so I could release a treat. And then I looked at my husband's iPad for the GoPro. So I kind of simulated the entire system without building anything. And the dogs, they just loved it. So then I went to the Technical University of Denmark, where I was working at that time, and I identified a course in advanced image analysis, and I project-sponsored the idea to this course. And my now still co-founders, Ole and Henrik, they threw themselves at it and solved it, of course, roughly within a few weeks. They showed that it would be possible to build these algorithms.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was it.
Perfect. That was a nice and short story. So tell us, I understand that the beginning of your company, it is related to the university you worked at before, but how have you found this transition? So what are the main differences between the academia and the startup world where you are right now, pitching, selling, marketing product? It's probably not something that you had been doing before. So how has it been for you? What are the main lessons learned, if you were to share with the audience?
Yeah, well, the main lesson, of course, is that this world, the startup world, is so much more rewarding and fun and exciting and fast-moving, and it's problem-solving, and it's just crazy good. But of course, there are also a few the other way. Like, for example, this pitching in 3 minutes, I loved back in the days when you had students in the room for hours, and you could just spend all the time you wanted to tell them stuff, and that I miss a little. And also back then it was more calm, of course. Sometimes, and I know if you're a startup founder, it's sometimes a little too much. It would be nice with a bit of calmness sometimes.
So how early on did you decide to leave your job at the university and move 100% to develop your startup?
Yeah, I was actually super lucky because you always want to move fast, of course, once you get an idea. There are always some, and there are some that got the same idea, and they are out there. But I was lucky because I was just an engineer, chemical engineer actually, and I didn't have any experience with doing business. I didn't even know what a business model was. So I was lucky because at DTU we have this program called the CEL program. It's called, it's short for Certificate in Entrepreneurial Leadership. And I was lucky to be able to join that with another project. But of course, it was 7 months, and during those 7 months, of course, every exercise we did, I was Dogo also. So that was a very good warm-up. But at that point, I already kind of decided that I wanted to do it, and that is because a few years earlier, there was another project at work where there was this VC guy I had a meeting with, and he asked me if I would consider to maybe turn that project into a business. And at that point, I hadn't even thought about it. But then I did, and I could feel that it felt interesting. So I was actually considering doing it with another totally crazy project. But then the proof concept didn't turn out as we wanted it to, so I didn't do it. But then it was it was already there.
Okay. And so obviously to start your own business, especially in Deeptech, especially with hardware, right? You normally need quite a lot of money for the start. So like, how did you handle this? Did you go straight to the VCs? Did you like invest yourself? How did it work?
Yeah, well, like I guess for all of us, it's a patchwork. Over the years, it becomes a patchwork. But I started, because I already knew, I started taking advantage of a Danish thing called, it doesn't matter what it was called, but I was able to put in some of my own money on a bank account and then deduct it in tax, so I could kind of double it. We pay a lot of tax in Denmark, in case you don't know. So I started out with some few hundred Danish kroner of my own and tax. And then I was able to hire Ola and Henrik, my co-founders, just paying them as student helpers. They were still doing their masters. So that's how we financially started it, and that was like maybe the first 1.5 year. I also applied for something called the InnoBooster, which is a Danish soft funding, of course, and that forced us also to check out if there was a market. So we were reaching out to customers, and I think that was super good. And we got the money, a couple of them actually. And then, of course, we have had a few rounds of business angels and some loans.
Okay. And so how, do you remember the first time you had to actually pitch to VCs your idea? I mean, what have been your lessons learned over these years? Did you have to do it a lot? Like, did you go to many business angels? Do you remember any particular, situations which were really meaningful for you as a founder and also taught you how to do it better and how to pitch better, how to fundraise better?
I don't know if I know any particular situation, but since we have been doing this for now almost 6 years, and actually more if you count the time before, I would say that it changes. Of course, it changes as your business matures, but also the times. But you all know that times right now are ridiculous, so you have to talk to even more investors to just find someone. No one has money. But for us, in the beginning, we were part of the Danish Tech Challenge, which is a hardware accelerator program. And we were among the last ones. We could have won. We were one of the top companies in that. But after that, it was super easy. And that was the first time we raised investor money. And I was like, why are they complaining? It's super easy. Yeah. and that was, of course, because it was early, and back then everyone was just throwing money at everything. So I was like saying, no, you can't put in that much money, because I was stupid and naive. And then, of course, it became harder, and also because building a hardware product, even though you know it takes a long time, it always takes longer. So it's hard to get it moving, and therefore, of course, also harder to get money. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything? So maybe are you profitable right now? Like, are you reaching no?
No.
Okay. So what are the next steps when it comes to financing?
Well, actually, I think we need to dive in. We need to go back a bit, and we need to dive into our customers. I just had this amazing conversation with Harpal Singh, He's going to give a keynote tomorrow at 11:40 here, and I would definitely recommend listening to what he has to say, because he really knows a thing or two. And I think some of what he just said is what we should do now, because we need to. We haven't spent a lot of money on paid advertisement, but that is what we should do at some point. But before we start pouring money into that hole, we need to be better at what's our customer, what is the exact customer journey, and what are their problems, what is it that we actually solve. And I think we need to do a lot of that homework, which fits very well with one. It's for free. Right now, we don't have a lot of money. We have this low spending period. We are strategically taking it slow for a while because of the financial times. And that is what we should do now. And then after that, we should pour in a lot of money in the paid advertisement. Okay. We have also simplified our product. Actually only like maybe 1 week ago, you had to buy this first at a it was $200. And then after 6 months, you would have to pay a subscription. So we had to sell twice, and people they don't love spending money. So we have simplified it, and I don't know if it works yet, but now we're trying. So now you buy 12 months, so you get 1 year full access to all games and functions for $200, and then we give you this for free. So this is for free, but if you don't pay, you don't have anything. But you have an entire year to find out if it is something. And all dogs that are food-driven, if they do 2 or 3 sessions with this, they will almost kill to keep doing it. And they will tell you that they want to play, because they will go to the TV and they will look at this and they will look at you, and then you have to start it. So.
And like while running how many people do you employ right now?
The team?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are 4 people and me, so we're 5.
Okay, and all in Denmark? Or remotely? Yeah. Okay, all in Denmark. And like while managing the team and like building the product, doing a bit of everything really as a founder, what have you found the most challenging? Like what surprised you the most? Like what was the biggest problem?
Well, of course there are a lot of very challenging things. Maybe we should also say that I haven't received these questions beforehand. No. But I would say...
she's doing really well, so like...
The hardest thing for me is to do stuff that I find boring. And also, so that is all the financial stuff, and even though we have an accountant...
What is boring in the startup world?
Yeah, you're right, nothing is. But you know, exhibits... and finding and matching and rules and stuff like that, that's just not for me. So I think doing tasks like that is what I find hard.
Okay.
Because they're boring.
Okay.
I think that is what I hate the most, and I would really like to not do that.
And over this time, over these years, what would you consider to be your biggest success as a founder and your biggest failure as a founder?
I think my biggest success as a founder is that and I'm really not sure how I do this, but sometimes I can scare myself a little. When I have meetings with, for example, a new investor, I have this, I don't do it on purpose, but I feel that I'm somehow good at manipulating people to also think this is interesting. So they want to join.
Sure.
So in the end of a meeting, they often say we instead of you when they talk about the project. And I think that is a superpower, even though it's also a little scary. But I'm really not. I think it's because I'm super enthusiastic about it, and it somehow transmits. And also, I think I'm also good at taking people in and really listening to what they say. And I think that is what you need.
And the failure?
Okay. Here it comes. And it's so classic. Believing that you can just sell. I mean, you just have to build a Ferrari and then they will all just buy it. That is stupid. Don't do it. I mean, we tried to do a Kickstarter back in the fall of 19. Back then we had, I think, a little more than 100,000 followers on our Facebook page. So we thought, no problem, we'll raise a lot of money, and we put up a high goal on the Kickstarter and everything to show that we were ambitious. Well, that didn't work. that was the first bucket of cold water, in our faces.
Sure. I think it's pretty relatable to many founders out there. Look, so I'm just wondering, when you look for investors or like business partners or mentors or basically people who are supposed to help you anyhow, how do you find these people who are also interested in pet tech, right? Which is pretty narrow category, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's not like super popular in Europe yet. Are there like investors who specialize just in this, or do you just go to generalists, specialists, or VCs for help or for financing or whatever, or do you focus on like pet tech people?
We go broad. Okay. We have been going broad, and it's exactly for the reasons that you point out. There's not a lot of dedicated pet tech investors, but fortunately, there are a lot of dog owners. So especially business angels, if they choose to invest in us, they more or less all of them say, "This is my favorite project," because when they are sitting at a dinner table, that's what they talk about, because people think it's funny and it's about dogs, it's about their dog, because of course they invested because they have a dog. So I think because it is a dog product, it's not hard to find interested investors. Okay. But of course it's always hard.
Okay, interesting. We have a bit of time left, and I'm just wondering whether there are any questions to Han. We can't really see very well here. Oh yeah, we can. Oh my God. Anyone would like to ask a question? Oh yeah, there is one question. Can we get a microphone, please?
Hi, my name is Jana. I'm from Latvian Radio, and I'm just curious, maybe you have something for cats, because I'm a cat lover.
Yeah, we get.
Can you scale it for cats?
We actually get that a lot, and there are also some other products that I think are better for cats. But that being said, now we have only tested it once, but technically this will work for cats, because our algorithm is super robust. Anything with 4 legs and a tail and ears, it's built to recognize all different dog breeds. It's a generalized model, so it does work technically for cats. But cats doesn't usually want to work like that for treats. But there may be some, but we're not selling it for cats, because we tried it once and the cat was super, couldn't care less. but there are other very good products, I know, with stuff moving and lights and stuff for cats. I think they have different needs also, and if it's a cat that lives outside, also they do get a lot of mental stimulation naturally. It's more dogs that are super dependent on us.
Lovely. Anyone else? We have 1 minute, so let me just ask you one final question here. There is a room full of founders who are probably, many of them are just starting now. They are looking for some guidance, some tips. Many of them might be from the Deeptech sphere area as well. What would be your one tip that you would like to leave them with, right? That you would like them to leave this room with? What would it be?
Yeah, I know you probably heard it from others, but it is so true. Go to your customer segment and learn the problem. Don't talk about your solution to it. Just talk to them and listen and hear what they say and how they solve it. I think that is the best tip ever before you build anything. And then go and listen to Harpal sing tomorrow here at 11:40. I think he will give you a lot of good tips.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Han. That was fascinating. I am sure you will be like circled by dog lovers the moment you leave. And thank you all for listening, and stay with us. And see you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Once again, a huge applause to this heartwarming panel. I just love this. I mean, who wouldn't want to invest in dogs? I mean, that's the like
Cats wouldn't invest in dogs.
cats. Oh yeah, okay, of course. Maybe cats shouldn't, like cat lovers, like no, that's not happening. Anyway, this is a very amazing panel, and thanks once again to our partners.
Yes, and we're gonna take a short technical break, and we will see all of you back for the next batch of 50 Founders Battle pitches in 10 minutes, or you could say 10 past 3. So you can obviously stay here, but we will take a short break and we will see you back at the founder stage by Google. Thank you.